So, not gonna lie, for this project, I'm not certain if there's enough steel here. The one in the game, it seems to be pretty long and narrow, and probably thin. It seems kind of more like a rapier blade, although a lot of people call it a saber, which it really isn't. Sabers usually have curved blades, and this is very, very straight and very pointy. But I just got this piece of spring steel. This is actually the half of a knife that I made, and I think once you get everything hammered out, I think it'll be pretty close. Might be a little short, but it's not a very long sword anyway, and I do like short swords. So I'm gonna throw this in the forge, and of course, hammer this out into a pretty tapered spike, I guess. Thin it out because again, it is pretty thick, and put some bevels on it. Hopefully that'll give us the size I need. If not, I'll have a shortened version of whatever the hell you want to call this sword that calls a revolutionary sword. I guess it's kind of vague, like some revolutionary cutlasses from the American Revolution. Which I think is what it's supposed to be, but then again, it's Fallout. Fallout 4, their weapons were a bit iffy. Fun game, but, bit iffy on those power hammers, though. Those things were cool. Okay, so I got my rough forging done here. It's a little shorter than the one in the game is, but I can't exactly find any decent pictures. Like, all the ones out there are either just the blade itself, or they have the blade with, I don't know, kind of a, or it's like it appears in the game, like when you find something and it like pops up on the screen in front of everything, but you really can't see it, or not really in comparison to what it looks like. Beyond a couple of mods of a larger version of it. So best I can do is just kind of guesstimating and video of Man-at-Arms that I'm looking at a lot of their stuff for. And I think that one's longer than the one in the game is. But I do remember kind of playing it, and again, I never really used this sword in the game. Even though I almost always play a melee character in that Fallout 4, but I usually don't use the Revolutionary Sword, because by the time I get it, I have better weapons. Not important, actually. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of refine the shape a little bit. I got the spine pretty well where I want it. I'm going to leave the flats of this rough, of course, because it's a Fallout weapon. But I'm going to take the edge. You see it's kind of a little all over the place. Smooth it out a little bit. Grind in my bevels. Probably won't make them too narrow because it's already pretty thin for something this long. And even though in the game it is very much a slashing and cutting weapon, this is not a cutting blade. This is very much a thrusting blade. And once you get that done, you're going to start forging the guard and making my handle. Okay, now that my blade is ground and, not ground. Now that my blade is forged and ground, it's time to make the guard. I'm going to make the guard before I heat treat it because I'm going to hot cut the slot for it, and you kind of want to do that before you heat treat it, just in case, you know, there's issues. But I just got this 1/2 inch, just mild steel. My basic plan is I'm going to, there's kind of like a ball thing at the end, so I'm going to kind of leave part of it thicker, flatten it out all the way, and then after a little bit, have it hooked down, and of course have a slot cut out for the tang to fit through. Okay, so it's hard to tell with the shadow, but I have a nice pile of JB Weld mixed up here. All my pieces already sanded. Got a nice little brass pin. I've got it pretty close to the game. This brass pin is not in it, but I don't want everything to fly apart. I might have been swinging this around, that already happened. But then again, nothing was epoxied. Anyway, so usually I wouldn't put too much epoxy into this, but that hole's pretty wide on account of the tang's decently large, so it takes a lot more to get it into the hole and burned away a lot more than it probably needed to. So I'm just going to overcompensate by putting a bunch of epoxy in it. But basic strategy, same as usual. Fill it up with epoxy, stick that in, the guard already on, of course. Then stick a little bit of epoxy on my brass pin, stick that through, and let the whole thing set up overnight. Up here, one of my fingers is bleeding again. I'm not certain this is even soaking in. Huh. Somehow the color's like perfect. Well, that never happens. Okay, we have everything finished up here. Surprisingly, turned out better than I thought. I thought this was gonna just kind of be a quick build. I'm actually, you're probably seeing this in mid-February, early mid-February. It's currently the beginning of December. I think it's like December 3rd as of me saying this. So I'm pretty far ahead in videos. I want to get done because where I live, February can be iffy for temperature and snow and all that. Not that snow is really an issue in my shop. But it can get very cold, so I have videos done up way ahead of time. And this is like my second one this week. Just finished up my third one. I literally shut the camera off for that as I'm finishing this. Again, linseed oil handles, you kind of have to let it sit for a minute. But this actually turned out a lot better than I thought it was going to. I definitely learned a little bit with just hammering that. Like I literally didn't grind on this at all. Besides a little bit just opening up the hole, which that's a little messy. But the blade seems fairly, not necessarily crude, but or thrown together. Just it's not the neatest blade or nice looking or whatever you want to call it, but it is Fallout, so it doesn't have to be. Which is kind of what I like about Fallout weapons. Anyway, hope you enjoyed and hope to see you next time.